When he carried out this attack, he was carrying at least 2 guns. There were extensive explosives in his vehicle. So that's certainly an angle they are going to be looking into. And also, I think very important to note is they are looking into potential accomplices. They have, so they don't think he did this alone.
Yeah. Do we have any? Do we understand? Have they explained to any degree why they feel pretty clear that he didn't act alone?
Well, they were asked that question very explicitly at the press conferences. Why do you believe this? And they just said we're looking at a range of suspects. We have heard that there is some surveillance video of 3 men and a woman placing explosive devices in the French Quarter. There were these 2 explosive devices, IEDs, secured in the French Quarter. So I'm assuming this is definitely a line of inquiry for them. Who were these people planting these explosive devices, and how are they linked?
We're going to start off with that now. So the prime suspect was, he's now dead, 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar. He drove that pickup truck towards crowds of people in that popular area, the Bourbon Street of New Orleans. He's confirmed to be dead after an exchange of gunfire with local law enforcement. A short time ago, FBI Assistant Special Agent Alethea Duncan provided this update.
An ISIS flag was located on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organizations. Weapons and potential improvised explosive devices, IEDs, were located in the subject's vehicle. Other potential IEDs were also located in the French Quarter. As of now, 2 IEDs have been found and rendered safe. The FBI Special Agent bomb technicians have been working to determine if any of these devices are viable, and they'll work to render those devices safe. The FBI, we are working with our partners to investigate this as an act of terrorism. We're aggressively running down all of the leads to identify the possible subject's associates. We're working to ensure that there is no further threat.
So that was FBI Assistant Special Agent Alethea Duncan talking a short time ago. Let's talk to Charlotte McDonald, who's in New Orleans for the Times. Hello, Charlotte.
Hi there.
Hi. Now, this terrible incident happened just after 1 a.m. local time. Can you describe the atmosphere now where you are, Bourbon Street at the heart of the French Quarter?
I'm actually in DC. I'm not in New Orleans. I've been following the story, and I've been covering the attacker, Jabbar. So I'm definitely following what's going on with him and what's going on in Houston right now as well. But in terms of, I was in New Orleans just a few weeks ago, and Bourbon Street at this time of the morning, it's a nighttime city. It's the early hours of the new year. It would have been absolutely packed, people spilling out of all the bars, the streets absolutely rammed when this attack happened, because it's one of the most iconic streets in New Orleans. It's one of the most iconic streets in the whole of the US. So it's a very symbolic place, and one assumes that's why it was chosen for this terrible attack.
That's right, and one would imagine, given just how iconic it is both in the States and internationally, people would have expected a potential attack at some point and mitigated, took at least some measures in mitigation against it. Bollards, effective bollards, or other measures.
Yeah, this is a big topic that we're hearing a lot about. And this is one of the first things that came up this morning when we were all tuning in and listening to the harrowing eyewitness reports on the, coming through. People were saying, well, usually there are these metal hydraulic bollards controlling traffic around the French Quarter, because it's a heavily secured area. There's lots of police. They've had issues with crime there before as well. They keep parts of it pedestrianised, especially on times like New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, when it's going to be absolutely rammed. So they were saying, well, why weren't these metal bollards up when this attack happened? And it has transpired that they were making changes to the system in preparation for the Super Bowl, the big American football game next month, which is going to be held in New Orleans. So they had temporarily disabled these metal bollards and replaced them with something else. And this is going to be a big question they have to answer, because, obviously what was there wasn't enough, because Jabbar drove this pickup truck at high speed down one of the busiest streets in the city.
Just looking at the profile of Jabbar, US-born citizen, army veteran, and now it would appear an ISIS supporter. I mean, how are people reacting to the picture that is emerging of him, and which contrasts very sharply with the picture put out by Donald Trump and others who said, well, this must have been a foreign-born criminal?
Yes, I mean, we did get some very early reaction from the Trump camp, and that appeared to be based on a report on Fox News about how the car had come over the Mexico-Texas border, and so there was sort of an automatic linking with migration, which obviously there was no information that they could, genuinely base that on at that point in time. But that's US politics now for you. But yes, this is a US-born military veteran, born in Texas, spent his whole life in Texas. Apart from when he served in the US military. We're learning that he did serve in Afghanistan. He was mostly in a technical IT support, technical position. It's not clear that he had a huge amount of combat experience, but that's certainly something they're going to be looking into. When he carried out this attack, he was carrying at least 2 guns. There were extensive explosives in his vehicle. So that's certainly an angle they are going to be looking into. And also, I think very important to note is they are looking into potential accomplices. They have, so they don't think he did this alone.
Yeah. Do we have any? Do we understand? Have they explained to any degree why they feel pretty clear that he didn't act alone?
Well, they were asked that question very explicitly at the press conferences. Why do you believe this? And they just said, we're looking at a range of suspects. We have heard that there is some surveillance video of 3 men and a woman placing explosive devices in the French Quarter. There were these 2 explosive devices, IEDs, secured in the French Quarter. So I'm assuming this is definitely a line of inquiry for them. Who were these people planting these explosive devices, and how are they linked? And you mentioned ISIS. This Islamic State flag was found on his vehicle. Was Jabbar tied in some way to a greater ISIS cell? Was it a lone wolf attack? These are all the questions that they're looking into now.
And what about this emerging news that one person is dead after a Tesla Cybertruck caught fire outside Trump Hotel in Las Vegas? Are people trying to make connections here?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as that happened, we were sort of in the middle of reporting on New Orleans, and then suddenly there's this image of this Tesla truck exploding outside the Trump Hotel. I mean, look at the imagery of this, the Musk's, Elon Musk's, brand there in front of the Trump Hotel. It felt like there was just this feeling, well, that can't be a coincidence.
Yeah.
But of course, it was a long time that we didn't know what was going on. But we are hearing now that it is being investigated for potential terror links. We have had no implication that it's linked to the New Orleans attack. That hasn't been said. But of course, them both happening on the same day is going to raise some questions. But we do now know that they are looking into it as a potential terror attack.
Charlotte McDonald in Washington for The Times, thank you very much.